Fantastic. We're recording, we're live. This is our traders interview with Simon Campbell. That's me from IX Media. We produce the IX Trader Show, the IX Investor Show, the Round the Clock Trader webinars and trading courses. And today I'm delighted to be joined by Steve Ruffley, author of The Ruff Guide to Trading, chief market strategist for various brokers. I'm not sure, Steve, if it's still with InterTrader. Is it?
No, that was a while back.
Sorry,
I've,
that was
I've
a
a
while
long
back.
checkered history, as you know.
I have to look down your bio. There's loads of things that you've done. Obviously, you've trained a lot of the brokers in the city. That's where we met. I think first off was way back in 2006. I want to say, I think you were working at Schneider Trading. And
Yes,
we were both in the city of London at that point, so we go back quite a bit. We do have a
you do.
shared history because I know we've lived. You've lived in Gibraltar. I've lived in south of Spain, quite close. We both lived in the island of Jersey for several years at the same time, which was great fun. We managed to enjoy a
Was
few nights out. But we both operate in the retail investing space. You well, retail and
absolutely, yeah.
professional. I know that you train professionals as well. So it's great you're giving up your time to join me. I know we just want to try and keep this fairly short. I want to reintroduce you to our community because I know you have done hundreds of webinars for me over the years with the Round the Clock Trader Summits. And he always got a reaction. I have to say that's one thing that stands out from all the different speakers that we have on these shows. You were the one that would always get the most comments, the most reactions. Most of it positive. Some of it, I have to say, people would take exception, but that's I guess that's the. I think some of that might be deliberate strategy, but it's all fantastic to get people thinking about trading. Now, I mean, I'll let you tell people a little bit more about where you've come from, but I've got some questions prepared. What we want to try to do in this short time that we've got is just to see if we can sort of transmit the essence of why you trade, um, what kind of trading you sort of do yourself and recommend others look at, sort of, because we all know that trading doesn't, there's no one size fits all when it comes to trading. Hundreds of different strategies, objectives, risk profiles. I think what comes through from reading your website and the Rough Guide to Trading, the book that you published, is that you look to make as much money in the smallest amount of time. Is that a fair comment? It's not, you
Pretty
don't,
much that's exactly in a nutshell. Yeah, I mean
yeah,
that's as I say, I've been fairly quiet for the last couple of years. We haven't done any kind of webinars or that kind of stuff. I've been busy writing the next book, and that's pretty much why I'm getting back on the scene. So the next book, it's been 9 years since I published the last book, The Rough Guide to Trading. And a lot's changed in the world. A lot of how I see the world's changed, how I see the markets have changed. Uh, the essence of what I do hasn't changed that much, but I've had to factor in the kind of volatility and lots of other things. So the kind of the idea of the new book is it's the pro retail trader. So as you rightly said, I've been a pro trader for years. I've been in City and that kind of stuff. And there's certain elements that pro traders do, and there's certain elements that retail traders should do, but don't. Maybe because they don't really understand what the pro environment is. There are certainly some physical aspects of pro trading that just doesn't translate into the retail environment. So I'm trying to tackle that. Talk to people about how I kind of see the markets change. But in essence, you're exactly right what you said at the start. I'm just trying to make the most money I can from the least amount of time, the least amount of money I'm in the markets, the least time I'm exposed to risk. And we'll go over risk, at some point, what people think risk is and how that translates. I think it's been massively misinterpreted from the retail side for years. If you want to make money from trading, which I do, I'm not doing it for the fun of it. You have to take risk, and I've said, for a long time, this idea of a 1 or 2% risk strategy for each trade doesn't work in the retail environment. I certainly can't do it with the size I use. But it's not to say that isn't or is right for everybody else. What I'm trying to do is open up the idea of going back to basics and what people are really trading for, and that every single one of them will be because they want to make money. But the way they go about it is generally convoluted and wrong. Because of all the education I've done over the years, the free stuff, thousands of webinars, I just stuck to the basics, because that's what, when you're employed as a chief market strategist, you have to do. But when you want to make money, that's a different thing, isn't it? It's what you read in theory and what you do in practice are generally different things.
It's yeah, teaching it and doing it and two different things. Can we refer to? I prepared a few questions just to try and give everybody a sense of who Steve Ruffley is. If you haven't heard of Steve, if you're probably quite new to trading. If you've been trading and you've been in the markets for a while, there's a high likelihood that you'll have seen Steve doing webinars on websites like fxstreet.com, investing.com, obviously my own round the clock trader events. You even talked at all the conferences in London. But for those that don't know you, Steve, yet, we're just getting started out. What was it that got you started in the markets? Just how did you end up sitting where you are now?
Yeah, well, I mean, again, it's all in the book. My journey of how I got started, and yeah, I'll share it with you. I mean, it's quite a weird coincidence. I was down in Badus. I met some guys, down at a bar. There's some flash cars around, and we got chatting. Turns out they were traders, and they were working at a new floor that opened in Gibraltar, and that's where I was at the time. So it was just pure old-fashioned coincidence. I mean, one of my earliest jobs, I haven't had that many, but I was working for PricewaterhouseCoopers in the kind of placing investments for like H&I individuals. So I got the idea of what a check did. You go and went and bought a unit trust and things like that, and I was like, this is quite interesting. What's the next step to it? And when I moved to Gibraltar, just by literally chance bumping into some people, that's when I kind of knew about trading, but I was the same as everybody else. You think it's guys on phones, the pits, shouting. That had all kind of gone by the time I started.
So
It was all electronic.
You've done your training on a trading floor or a trading arcade desk with a broker, essentially a broker. And
Yeah,
and at some point though you sort of cut the cord and said, hey, I can do this myself. Obviously with the internet trading platforms. When what inspired you to do that? When was that transition from being trading other people's money to trading your own money?
yeah. I mean, I think it goes back to how you get started. So I was on the original grad course by Revco. So it's quite interesting. It's quite an on-topic thing right now. A lot of people ask you about these prop firms, these online prop firms, that back you and this kind of stuff. So it's it's the original version of that. So you get backed to be a trader. They train you to trade, and yes, you're exactly right. You go on the floor with your 8 screens. I did all that kind of stuff. And yeah, my kind of journey was that I tried it, made quite a big trade fairly on, tried to emulate it, and kind of ran out of motivation, to be honest. Because I was making all this money, but I didn't seem to have any. I kind of, what was I doing this for? And when you look into the agreement to really do these things, they keep quite a lot of your money. And for instance, for me to buy myself out of my contract at that time was £250,000. So you have to make £250,000 before you can then to go on use your own money to back yourself. So yeah, when I decided that that wasn't going to happen anytime soon, my biggest kind of pivotal point was going to work in the risk room. So it's like I'm not making enough money. How do I make more money? What are the real guys doing? So I spent time in the risk room and saw what some of the best traders in the city were doing, and yeah, I learned some stuff, and I came back, and my kind of transition was when I came back. Again, this is all in the book, so I kind of I don't want to kind of like one of the resounding comments that'll stick with me forever when I wrote the first book is someone said, "Oh, just don't bother buying the book. Watch his webinars because he does it all for free." It's like it's a 25 quid book. You know what I mean? I've just sat here writing this stuff for fun. So I'm not going to sit here and give up my whole life story. As interesting as it is, buy the book. It's coming out on the 26th of November. It's only 25 quid. I can't set the price. The publisher does that. But there's a nice little opening section about how I got started. But yes, what I learned early on is you've got to be the one that backs yourself. You've got to be the one that makes all the money and keeps all the money. That's my resounding lesson. For all these things I do with trading, I do it for the money. So if you want to keep all the money, you have to back yourself. If someone's going to back you, they want something for it. Okay? So that's number one lesson. If you want to do it, fund yourself.
So you've seen it from the other side, though. You've seen it from the risk side. You've seen the way the brokers work. You've seen the way the prop firms work on the other side, and you've taken that knowledge into your own trading. Your average person that has their own business or their own career and wants to do trading on the side, they don't have that knowledge, and so this is sort of, I think, where you can help. This is where it's just the thrust of your training is to try to distill what goes on behind the curtain, as it were, in the brokers in the city. And when you understand that, it gives you an edge, does it, with being able to spot trading opportunities? And
no, it doesn't give the edge at all. Again, there's a lot of misconceptions about how trading floors and even how brokers are run. I think people don't understand the basics of what a broker does. And it astounds me. People are going into something with high expectations and they don't really understand what they're doing. And that's the difference between the pro and retail world, again, which I've explained in some detail in the book. But it didn't allow me to learn some industry secrets. No, that's not how it works. What I got to see is how people made money, and that's time and size. That's what it boils down to. That's what you see. You see people that make the most money, people that are successful traders. It comes down to those two things: time and size. And that's what I incorporated into my trading.
What do you say about the most sort of commonly heard complaint of the private investor trader is that their broker will run what they call a B book, I think it's called, where the fear of placing trades, and they can see, and I guess they're placing bets against their customers, and then it's denied, of course. Do you have any opinion on that? Does it still go on? Is it something to be
of course. I mean, you have to remember that when you see a broker, it's just a shop front. Okay, you're not trading with the actual market. That's the whole point about when I've been a professional trader. You trade DMA, direct market access. You're trading with the market, individual prices. With a broker, it's simulated markets. You don't know where the broker's getting their prices from. They will have their own book. Now, to some extent, everything is hedged. So yeah, there are some nefarious brokers that will see your positions and trade against them. That's just the way it is. That's why you go with brokers from different regulated entities, and kind of you have to get to know your broker and trust them. And I only trade with two because I trust them, and they don't want to lose me. They want to keep me happy. So
what are these things then that people should be looking for in a broker to allay these fears? What's the key thing, would you say, to know that the broker's a good broker to be working for? You say you've made friends with your broker. Obviously, you're trading large amounts. They want to be friends with you.
Well, first and foremost, I know both the owners of both the brokers I trade with. I've met them. I speak to them. I've gone out for dinner with them. So I trust them from that perspective. One's in London, one's in New Zealand. One's only 2 hours down the road from me. So I can jump in my Porsche and be down there in 2 hours. And if something goes wrong, I'll be knocking on the door. But I mean, from a kind of the average starter trader, your average person, look for a trader that's regulated, where they're based, and traders will come under different tiers of regulation almost. So you have to do a bit of research. If you're looking at your broker and they're based in Panama or the Bahamas, and the website doesn't tie up with the company address, it's things like that. There are big brokers, but don't get filled in the big brokers, are the good guys, like IG Index. You hear horror stories and things like that. So you have to look for the telltale signs. I mean, if you're going to get, I mean, this is the thing as well. It's kind of people want to blame someone for something. Oh, I didn't get filled. It's the broker. Oh, I got stopped out. That didn't print on my chart. That's the broker.
Yeah.
People are going to take some responsibility. The brokers are just providing a service. You pay for what you get. What do you pay a broker? Nothing. You pay a spread. They
Yeah.
have a job to do. Their job is to make money and to service their clients. If they're no good, they should lose clients. At the end of the day, what am I meant to do? Go and trade every broker and do a 5-star review. It's not Michelin star restaurants. That doesn't sound very interesting to me. I work with brokers that I could put my money in and get my money out of. And as I say, people I've met, people I've spoke to, people I have a relationship with. That's how I do life, and that's how I do business.
Yeah.
So how anyone else does it, it's down to them. Maybe personal recommendations or other people that trade there. There's so much kind of this is what I can't stand about the internet and trading. It's like, let's jump on a forum. Let's get in our own little private WhatsApp group like anything. People that don't know anything don't know anything. It's like the whole GameStop stuff. It's a load of nobodies getting together thinking they could beat the hedge funds and beat the big guys. You're just falling into their trap. It's nonsense. The big guy, big money always wins. Always. All you're looking
Yes.
to do, all I'm ever looking to do is take money off retail. Jump on the back of paper money and big money and take money off retail. I know my place. I just do it with bigger size. I'm fully aware of who I'm taking my money off and who I'm against. I'm never taking on the big money because I am not going to win it.
That's. I mean, we're starting to get to the into the way that you trade, the strategy that you. It's very interesting what you're talking about. Is you're taking money off retail, and what you're saying is that you're taking money out of people that from the other side that are trading the other way that you are, taking an opposite position and not
I mean,
understanding
the
the fuller
basics of trading,
picture.
Simon, we all know, somebody buys, somebody sells, somebody wins, somebody loses. What I'm saying is, the market moves. Everybody's looking to buy the low and sell the high. Oh, that's trading. It's not. What I'm looking to do is be in the middle of the move somewhere. I'm trying to take smaller amounts of pit movement with bigger size, get in and get out.
Right.
So, all this idea that we're all fighting for the same kind of perfect entry and exit. When you read the book, you'll understand that that doesn't even exist for the retail trader. You're trading simulated markets for a start. So what you see on your screen, your P&L, might not be what someone else sees. These are all the things from thousands of hours of being sat in front of the screens that I know. People say don't look at your P&L. I look at my P&L all the time. That's my
Yeah.
money. Why wouldn't I look at it? Because what
Right.
they're thinking is the old like, oh, you investor, you have a stop, you have an exit point. Don't look at your P and L. Let the trade go on. Well, you could be looking at your P and you could be up and down thousands of dollars at a time. And how do you
Yeah.
know if you don't look at it and take it? So this is the difference between trading and investing. I'm a very short term trader. I'm not an investor. So I look at everything available to me. What is available to me to look at is numbers on a screen, what I can see, what I can control. Because I've been there, thousands of dollars been an offer 1 second and they're gone the next. So you have to be when you're trading on a retail platform, you have to understand that the rules are not the same. You are not trading the underlying market. You're not directly trading with the exchanges. You're trading, a broker's book of prices.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of a good trading morning for you then? How do you approach the market? What is it that you will look for first in looking for something to trade? Is it one or two markets that you trade on a regular basis, or are you open to looking at whatever the opportunities arise? Is it fundamentals? Is it elections that make you think about currency fluctuations? How do you just talk us through an outline process?
Okay. So in the last book, The Rough Guide to Trading, talked about the 80-20 movement of markets. So 80% is, kind of technical, 20% fundamental. So when you say about the election news, that kind of stuff, that falls into the fundamentals. What I would say these days is more 50-50. There's more news information than there ever has been. But what you have to really understand is it news or is it narrative? You know,
Yeah.
who's behind all this stuff? You know, who's kind of pushing the buttons? Because it isn't the clowns you see on TV. You know, it isn't Sunak and it isn't Nigel Farage. That's all a distraction. You know, the decisions have been made. What's going to be happened? You know, throughout the market, it's already been decided. So what I'm looking for is none of that. I read all news, even the fake news, everything. You know, I make my own decisions about everything, and then I process that, and that doesn't make me sit down and think, I'm going to buy the euro today because of that. That's not how I think at all. Okay, I only
Okay.
trade 8 products, and only have traded 8 products, which are correlated. So it will be, the major stock markets, currencies against the dollar, and gold. So that's what I look at. So I let the markets tell me what it's thinking because the markets are the most efficient way of processing news. Dow theory. If all information is known, then the price should be accurate. So I don't approach it trading like that. Like I have read something in the Financial Times, and that has made me go and make a decision, and I click my button and make some money. That's not how it works at all. I'm looking for the markets to move in specific ways, specific types of movements, specific types of correlations, and I want to get as much money as I can into the markets as quickly as I can, and then get it out. So, example of a good trade: 3 of the stock markets were up, FTSE was down, traded about 1,000 lots in 2 minutes and made 10 grand, 10,000 US dollars. That was a good trade. That was a good day. I could just stop trading for that day. So that's an example of a good trade. That's the kind of thing I do. Now, I've done thousands, tens of thousands of trade. That's a good one. It's in the book. But they don't come along very often. It's the thing you have to be prepared for is any eventuality. I've traded all sorts of big events, made money from big events, but you don't get big events very often. So what you're really looking for is something that you can replicate. And my replication of my trades comes down to time. I have a scalp, which is a set amount of time, an average trade, which is a set amount of time, and a day trade, a set amount of time. So I'm just trying to do one of 3 types of trade with one of 2 types of entry, and that really just revolves around how much size I can put in, due to the opportunity I see and the reasons for the trade. I get in for that amount of time, and then I get out. So my trading is born of 20 years of doing lots of different complex things. The actual strategy, for pro retail trading, it's quite simple, but it takes a long time to master, and it takes a long time to have that muscle memory to be able to click things and do things at the speed I do, and to think the way I do. And I don't think a lot of people are prepared to do that because they have one bad trade, and they think they're a bad trader, and then it's game over. It's you don't get to be rich quick in trading. I'm afraid you can be in the position to make lots of money quickly, but you don't get rich quick.
Yeah.
That's a very popular misconception that unless you
And
put some effort and screen time in, you're not going to ever have the confidence to do the things that will make you the money.
you're talking about taking years to master these things. Are a lot of that, I guess, is the mastering the sort of the mindset of being able to walk away from trades that don't work out and still come back the next morning, look at the market afresh. Trading psychology is the biggest and most popular area of the seminars that we do at the London shows and online, that people want to learn more about. And I think is that where you see the winning and losing is done, is being able to
It's
control
all
it.
in your head. It's all in your head. The biggest thing I've done with myself is learning to understand myself. A lot of people talk about things like emotions and like you don't have the emotion in trading. Bollocks. Yeah, but of course you have emotion. You're a human. What they again they're looking to is the investment side of things. You can put a trade on with a stop, walk away, and you don't feel anything. When you're trading thousands of lots in minutes, like I am, yeah, you've got emotion, mate. You have plenty of emotion. What you have to do is learn how to harness emotion, and deal with emotions, and use them for your benefit. That's what top professional traders do, and some of the best guys I've ever worked with. That's what they did. That's some of the key things I picked up from that is how to deal with things in the moment and deal with these things. And I'm not saying that people are ever going to go into trade like I do, or even trade like professionals do. That's not the point. What I'm saying is, you get a lot of people out there, so-called experts, that have never been traders. There are people selling books, and people just like me, names of people we've worked with, Simon, and they've never done it. They've never done it, but they go and talk about it. At least I've done it in a professional sense and in a retail sense. So I'm talking about what I've learned from the professionals and what my time as a professional trader does, and then what I did as a pro retail trader on a retail platform. And there are things you don't know because you've never done them. There are things that people
Yeah.
talk about things and how they've seen other people do them, but they've never done them. I have done them many times. And yes, I've made lots of money, and I've also had some horrific losses. I've been wrong. I've been wrong on things. I've broke my rules. I've taught myself out of things, and yeah, I've paid the price for it. But it's all part of the learning curve. Everyone wants to think, when they open the brokerage account, it's like, oh well, just make $1,000 a day. There's 200 trading days in a year. I make 200 grand a year. Never works like that. Never works like that.
Yeah.
The curve's going to be like this, and it hopefully should be in an upward swing. But you're going to have ups and downs in anything. It's very much like starting a business. A lot of people fail because they're undercapitalized.
Well, let's talk about that. What do you think about the new sort of proliferation of prop firms? Obviously, there's a few, my Forex Fund and so forth, that are being suspended. But is it something that retail traders should look at, because you're taking on
No.
leverage, you're potentially getting capital to play with. It's bigger money, bigger return.
When you see the ads for these things, as I do, it says size matters. And they're exactly right. Size does matter. But size should matter for you. Why? If you're going to be backed by somebody else, then they're going to take money from that. They're going to make money from that. And that's why they exist. If you're going to trade, you'll never have the same emotional connection you do with your own money. And people say, well, I'll make some money with a prop firm or whatever, and then go off on my own. It's a lot harder than you think. I've done it from a professional standpoint. I only know one person from the graduate kind of courses I was run. These are professional ones. Only one guy that managed to buy himself out. Only one guy.
What about success stories for you training other traders, you mentoring people? So I know over the years there's quite a few people that come through, from around the clock trading and so forth, and come onto your course, your mentoring programs. What would you say is the biggest thing that you have to sort of undo before you get someone to start trading the right way? What's the biggest problem? Maybe is that a better way of rephrasing the question. What is it that people do wrong, in your opinion, mostly?
I don't look at it that way. At the end of the day, I'm not teaching anyone to trade my strategy per se, or the way I trade at all. What I do from a mentoring perspective is look at it objectively to what people are trying to achieve and help them get to their goals. Now, look, this comes back to the old ownership of things. People want to follow a strategy, follow a signal, something that works all the time. That doesn't exist. So what I'm trying to do is change the mindset of people and help them achieve their goals from trading. So nobody comes to me and trades wrong. It's about tweaking the way they think. A lot of the things you see, because you've dealt with so many retail traders, and they ask you all these same questions. It's funny because I haven't been in this kind of space for a while, and it's already instantly starting to irritate me. Not you, obviously, just kind of being asked the same questions over and over again. It's just like you're so far away from the end goal, you're never going to make it as a trader. It's like, what is I looking at, Steve? What's this? What's that? It's like it's about having a goal. Anything in life is about having a goal and understanding how you're going to get to that goal. So it's breaking things down into, and I'd always talk in money terms. It's how are you going to make that money from trading the market? Okay, what are you going to do? You can only buy something and sell something. That's all you can do. If you flipped a coin, that would probably be more successful than the average retail trader of just, doing a random buy and sell. It's crazy. But, there's nobody that comes to me and says like, oh, fix my trading. It's a mindset thing. People aren't as stupid as they think they are. People have just been made to think that they're dumb. And that comes through the education system. It comes from constant marketing, constant, kind of noise from everywhere. Trading's relatively simple. We can all look at a chart and say, hey, that's going to go up, that's going to go down. If it was that easy, we'd all be making millions of dollars, wouldn't we? But we're not. Because you have to think about what you're seeing is going to do what it's going to do no matter what you do. You have no impact or effect on the market. But the way I see the markets these days, it comes back into this idea of when you read the news, even these days, there's not so much news, there's narrative. And there's narrative being put through the markets, by, the Fed, by the media, and it makes you think one thing. The markets will always do what you think it's going to do. It just never does it at the time you want it to do. So you buy it and it goes down. You sell it and it goes up. Why? Because there's the big guys behind all this stuff and the real money behind all the way the markets move. And that's what you have to understand. You have to understand that there is no easy money. There is no free money in trading. There's big money and quick money, but that requires capital and it requires some risk. So what you have to understand is what you see on the charts is absolutely predetermined and will do exactly what you think. It's just not going to do it exactly when you want to. It's going to make it as hard as it can for you, the retail trader, to make money. There's lots of things, the way I kind of think about that, and different ways I've put it together in my head over the years. And again, it's in the book. It's too big to explain without putting all the things together. So, you're right with your questions and the way you kind of, you structure these things from a retail trader. But you've got to learn something, do it, then think about it. Do something else, learn from it, go back to point one. It's this constant moving through the kind of major sections of learning and then getting to the end and realizing, I don't know anything. I've learned so much, but I don't know anything. I call it trading snow blindness. People are so eager to learn so much, and there's so much stuff out there. You learn it, and then what do you use? You don't really know what to use anymore. So a lot of the things are kind of, you try things and they go back to basics, time and money.
Fantastic. Yeah, I remember your catchline. It was trading's all just about being not just being right, but being right at the right time. I think that's your mantra. It's still as true now as it always was. So,
and this is the thing, Simon. It's kind of, even after years and years and years of doing these things, it's the basics that will always shine through. It's just tweaking stuff, and absolutely people. And I'm not nervous about the book, but there's lots of kind of home truths that people aren't going to like to hear, and most people aren't going to make it. I'm sorry, that's just the way it is. But we all know the retail stats of traders. If there's so much great education and great books out of there, why over the last 20 years has the retail stats of those who make it not changed? It's the ones that do something slightly different are the ones that are, the small percentage that make it. And I mentor people that have gone on to make it. I've got to kiss a lot of frogs. Some people get it, some people don't. But I mean, that's just everything. Think about being a pro golfer. You can still be on, on the tour, or, still in the top 1,000 golfers on the planet. You're still making a nice living. My whole point about the book is I'm not sat here saying that I'm the richest, best trader in the world. I'm not. I'm talking about, making a living from trading. So, that might be 20 grand for some people. It might be 50 grand. It might be 100 grand. I know if you're trading on the floors, you're not making 100 grand. With your costs alone, there's absolutely no point being a pro trader. So what I've learned, from the years of doing the retail side is people don't think big enough. The markets are huge. We're talking trillions that are traded every day. So if you're looking to, nick the amounts I do, they're still inconsequential to the markets. They mean nothing to the markets. But if, you're still stuck in the trying to make 50 to 100 pounds a day, there's absolutely no point trying to be a trader. And then it's like, well, scale up. How do you scale up? What tools do you have to scale up? You don't know because you haven't done it. And when you do it, what's the thing that happens? Oh, I scaled up and I lost. Of course, because the market knows. It knows everything. It's waiting for you to do it. It's how you keep doing these things and moving on to the next stage. And then one day it will just work. And then it stops working. Then you start again. And then it works again. And then till you find your own way, your own strategy. And again, I hate calling it a strategy. Just find your own way of connecting with the markets, how you connect with the buy, how you connect with the sell, how you connect with size. Each market will have its own personality. You have your own personality. And that's what you have to meld together is those two things. And that's why there's no... sweet spot. That's why we talked before this, this interview about, kind of, kids and bringing up kids. There's no one book on parenting. Because there's no one way to do it. There's so many variations. And this is my problem. with the book, I've tried to condense everything I know for a fact, everything I've done, everything I've seen, and said, this is how I felt, this is what I've done. Sometimes it's worked, sometimes it's not. And people are going to have to read it and take some of those key points and go, well, can I do that? I don't know. Can I try that? I don't know. Am I going to think like that? I don't know. But at least you're asking the right kind of questions. If you're just,
Yeah.
sat here listening to some webinar on Fibonacci, I've been doing that stuff for 10, 15 years. It hasn't changed. I still use it in the same way. My charts haven't changed. I don't technically trade any differently than I've ever did. My whole way of trading the markets has changed. That all I'm trying to do is push myself to do the right thing at the right time. Just do it with more size.
But the
That's
world is
it.
changing. You said earlier on, you had a sort of 80-20 rule where 80% charting technicals, 20% fundamentals, and you said you've actually changed that. You think it's probably more like 50-50 now, in terms of what
Absolutely. Yeah.
you. And this year, 2024, we've got two wars, or at least two major wars. We've got, U.S. elections, UK, European elections. All these things must make this a year where markets are going to move. Different markets are going to move in different ways. So, is it a good
Yeah,
time
well,
to
I mean, you say
trade?
that, then and it's kind of if you go back to the basics, why are stock markets at record highs if we're on the brink of World War III?
Yeah,
Why are interest rates where they are? What's the real reason behind all these things? BRICS. You know, no one seems to be talking about BRICS, but we're keeping the Fed are keeping us guessing us with rate cuts, 5 rate cuts, no rate cuts, rate hike. What kind of forward guidance is that? When I was back on the floor, it was all about price stability. John Claude Trichet be turning over in his grave, when he listens to the nonsense these people talk. And that's the part of the theatre of the markets. That's why I'm saying it's 50-50. It's 50% of the
yeah,
time, it's pure Twitter nonsense, theatrics, making you think, this is going to happen, so I should be doing that. You have to fade a lot of that narrative out and just look at the charts, look at what the market's doing. And you're not going to buy the absolute low and sell the absolute high. And if you're doing anything for an over a day, you're not a trader anymore. You're an investor. So
yes,
what I'm trying to say is, all you're trying to do is get little bite-sized chunks out of the markets and make every pip count. And that's the art of a day trader. That's the art of a scalper. That's the art of somebody who makes money from short-term trading. It's about being right when the market is doing something for a short period of time. Every time you add more time, you have the opportunity to be wrong. And this is the whole thing. Like my analogy is when I meet people, there's two types of traders, retail traders. I think the ones who want to make money, and they're the kind of entitled traders that have made money somewhere else and think, well, I have money. I've run a successful greengrocers, so I'm going to go into trading because I have money. They don't respect money in the same way. They don't want to make money in the same way. They're trying to make more money because they have money. Whereas people that want to make money from trading go in it a different way because they need to make money from this thing. So again, all these things are explained. The retail trader has a tough job. They're always going to be bottom of the pile. They're always going to be overly educated in the wrong things, underfunded generally, and trying to do things that is above them. And I'm not trying to knock retail traders. I'm just trying to say that's the way the system's been designed. They've been fed this narrative. It's the guys that think slightly outside the box and do things slightly differently. That's when they creep into the pro kind of retail side of trading and might have a chance of making it. Because your average person's never going to be a pro trader. You will never be a pro trader like I was. If you go work for a prop firm, you're not a pro trader. Okay, unless you're sat on the floor in London or in Frankfurt or New York, that's a pro trader. The rest of it is just smoke and mirrors.
we're talking about the book this as we round off because I'm conscious of our time. I know it's being republished this year. I remember coming around to your office in Jersey. You were spending nights. You were staying up through the night writing chapters for this book because you wanted to be almost a sort of definitive download of everything that you'd learned over your years as a trader, and this is why you keep referring back to it to say, look, it's all in there. Has it been fun to do it? Has it been an
No,
interesting? No. it's, it's,
no. It's the last book. That's it. That's all I've got. You're not having any more. It took 2 years to write, and it took a year to publish. Be out on the 26th of November. And no, it wasn't enjoyable because the first book, you remember Stephen. I just met Stephen in London. We had a nice meal in Gordon Ramsay's, and we had a couple of bottles of wine, a good old chat. And he says, "Go write a book for me." So I did, and that's how the Ruff, Guide to Trading came about. And then, 7, 8 years later, I thought, "Well, maybe got another book in for me." Since then, Stephen's sold out. So Harriman House exists, but it's been bought by Pan Macmillan, and all it's been is a chain of emails and at a 10-minute Skype. So it's been very unglamorous, and it was hard to write. It was quite personal to write, and I don't know if people will like it because it's very much me. It's very brutal honesty, brutal truth. If you want to kind of be a pro retail trader and make money from trading, make a living, then you've got to do some tough things.
Yeah.
But it's written now. It's out there. I don't know. I don't know how people will receive it. As always, I do things. I set my mind to things, and I do them, and then it's
So
out there, and it is what it is.
what things have you updated then for the new version?
It's not a new version. It's a completely new book. I mean, the Rough Guide to Trading was, an everyman's guide to, navigating all the basics. It's
Yeah.
all the webinars I've done. This is how I trade. Examples of trades I've done. This is how I see the world. It's how I see the markets. It's basically my journey, and it's my experience of why retail traders fail. It's my experience of being a pro trader. And yeah, I never really made the money I thought I was going to be as a pro trader. And it only really kind of started to work for me when I started to trade by myself with my own kind of capital and that kind of stuff. And, the big learning curves I had, the motivations I had, were different. Meeting my wife changed my life in different ways that I didn't think it would. You were at my wedding, so you remember that.
Well,
Lots of
changed my
personal
life as
things.
well.
Yeah, look, there's
That's
lots of
very good.
personal things in how I became the man I am and the person I am. I'm not the person I was back then. I'm the same personality type, but I'm not the same person. And the markets have changed. I've had to change, and I think it's really kind of it's a story of my journey and my understanding into myself.
Personal,
It's it's
personal. Hmm.
it's complicated. As I say, when you write 50,000 words, Simon, it's more than you could put in a webinar. It's more than you could probably put in a series of webinars. That's why I wrote a book. I didn't know how else to kind of, externalize it. I didn't know how else to do it. I wrote it down, and yeah, it took a lot of writing, a lot of time, and I don't know. As I say, it's a big unknown for me. Uh, I, I don't know. I don't know how people will receive it, and that's I'm not bothered, but I am bothered. It's kind of like this is the thing. It's like when you put something out there. When I put the
Yeah.
first book out
Only
there, it's
people
like,
our
well,
age will get that reference. Yeah. So I'm not bothered. I'm not bothered. Yeah.
I'm not bothered. But then, because when it's so personal, you see, and when it's kind of something you spent a lot of time on, and you've really kind of really this time thought about it, because the first book I just wrote, because when you write a book for the first time, you have nothing to benchmark it against. But now I have something to benchmark it against. I'm not saying it was a great book or it was pretty well received, but now you have something to benchmark against. I want to do things bigger. I want to do things better. That's just how I am. I keep that's what my life goal is. As long as you're moving forward, you're winning in life. So this book is another way of moving forward, and it's done, and it'll be out there, and then the world can see. And as I say,
Perfect.
it's people get as you say, people have commented. Some people like me, some people don't like me. I'm that way in real life. I'm the Marmite of people, but I'm just going out there saying what I think, and that's all we can do. In a world where we're being continually censored and told what to think, nobody tells me what to think. Nobody tells me what to do. I go out and I do what I want to do. And that's what the book's about. I did it.
Great. So it's more than just trading. More than just trading.
Everything, mate. It's everything. It's the only book you'll ever have to buy on trading. Ever.
And a guide to
International
profit as well.
bestseller. I don't know. I don't know. As I say, I just write from the heart and experience.
Well, Steve, we'll wrap it up there. We've gone over our time, but I've really enjoyed this chat, as I always do. It's great to catch up. Delighted that you have written the new book as well. I'm sure it'll be a big success. I'm hoping that we can do some more as well. I'd like to spend some time mentoring some of the people that we have in the community as well, maybe some online
Sure.
courses. And hey, maybe even get you into London if you're in this part of the world again in the near future. That would be
You
fun.
never know, mate. You never know.
Well, listen,
Crazier
thank you
things have
so much
happened.
for your time. I guess when we publish this, there'll be various links in the comments and things like that where you can go and order Steve's latest book, and links to the website, of course, and everything that he does there. But thank you for your time. Really appreciate it. Good luck, regards, and luck to the family, and we'll
Thank
catch
you.
up again soon.
Thanks, Simon.
Thank you.